Counselor Poindexter, would you be so kind to give us invocation?
Father, thank you for this time and fellowship together, Lord. Thank you for helping us to come under one roof and fellowship with you, and help us all to be of service to you, Lord, and do your work, and that we may all act with the mind of Christ, Father, and with our actions speak louder than words, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Yes, ma'am, and I need to do 2 roll calls to establish memberships.
Okay.
Victoria Vasquez. Condessa Teehee. Danny Callison. Here. Mike Dobbins. Johnny Kidwell. Here. Joshua Sam. Here. Mike Shambaugh. Melvina Shotpouch. E.O. Smith. Here. And then for those that were in the election, if you're here and if you want to be a member, Sasha Black Fox Qualls. Julia Coates.
And yes.
Joe Deere. Yes. Kevin Easley Jr. Lisa Hall.
Here.
Daryl Legg. Dora Petzkowski.
Here and yes.
Cody Poindexter. Okay, we have a quorum.
Kevin, say here.
Here. And yes.
Do you want to be a member?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. All right, if everyone's had a chance to look over the minutes from the last session of July, could I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. First on our agenda for reports, we've got cultural tourism, and instead of Molly Jarvis, we have Travis Owens. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for having us, and I think first time for reporting for some of our new council members. So in your, you should have our full report. Just want to highlight a couple of items. We continue work on the Cherokee Heritage Center, the master site planning, coming close to nearing that kind of the master site planning phase, and look forward to some more announcements in the future on that. Will Rogers Birthplace, as you may remember, we acquired that on June 7th. We're working on some design for the renovations of that site in the near future, targeted at restoring that historic home site. Wanted to highlight a couple of our exhibitions that will be coming to a close soon. So Dan Mink, Cherokee by Design, I think was quite timely. He was highlighted during Cherokee National Holiday. I hope you got a chance to go see that. If not, still some time before it closes. We Are Cherokee, Cherokee Freedmen and the Right to Citizenship. As you remember, we had that at Cherokee National History Museum for a year, and then we're partnering to travel that exhibition both regionally and hopefully nationally. And so it just closed at 101 Archer in Tulsa, and then we're working on some future partners to travel that exhibition with as well. We also, on our cultural pathway, have Roy Boney, Notes from Storyteller's Sketchbook, which is up now. And then at the History Museum, we have Cherokee Delegate and Unalterable Promise, which is up through June 1st of next year. So please check that out. A couple of events just to highlight for you, so mark your calendars. This weekend, we'll be celebrating Cherokee Days at Eastern Trails Museum from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., an annual event that we do there to partner with that museum and community. And then October 14th and 15th, we have Cherokee Art Market back, and so hope you'll come join us for that event. Our second annual SCOSTICon is our Native American Comic-Con is November 4th. And then our Cherokee National Treasure Luncheon is December 7th. So hope you will join us for those events. Our Cherokee History course is out in the communities and is being received well. I also wanted to highlight that we are working on the Artist Recovery Act implementation. And so to date, we've had 57 applications come through for artists to help through that program. So with that, I'll open for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Travis. Anyone have questions? I just have a couple of comments. I wanted to say that the Eastern Trails Museum is in Veneta, which is my hometown and my district. So anyone that can come, it's a great event starting at 10 o'clock. The chief will be there, and the Cherokee Gospel Choir will be singing. It'll be great. I think we have 7 national treasures that are showing and selling their work. So if you can make it to Bonita Saturday, it'll be great. Thanks. Also, I had a quick question on the Cherokee Heritage Center. Just explain to me what interpretive planning means. Thank you.
Sure. The easy way to describe that is the story that we're telling and how does that story connect with visitors. So that's all the kind of, when you go to a museum and there's a key message you're trying to learn, there's a lot of planning that goes into that. So finding the right story that connects with the visitor's audience and objects.
Thank you. Anybody have any comments? Sure, Daryl, go ahead.
I just wanted to remind that the display for the Carl Albert College there in Salisbury for the National Native American Heritage Month, I just want to remind you of that.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Counselor Smith?
On that con there, you're just talking about, is that a one-day thing?
Yes, it is a one-day event, and if you didn't come last year, it's just something you've got to see. There's not a amazing way to explain what it is, but it's a pretty tremendous event. Great for the artist community, brings out a different visitor, and then really showcases some really amazing Native American talent.
Counselor Poindexter?
Yeah, I went to the ScostyCon last year, and as an artist myself, I would say I really appreciated that event. It was really cool, and if you haven't been, I really encourage you all to go at least once, and you see all kinds of artists from not just Cherokee Nation, but you can see artists from different tribes there as well, and they really do a great job putting that on, so I encourage you all to go.
Thank you. I'm going to try to make that this year. I missed out last year. Anyone else have any comments for Travis before we let him go? All right. Thank you for your good report.
Thank you all.
Next up, we have Howard Payton for Cherokee Nation Language Department. Always good to hear from you and see you.
Seal Nagad.
CO.
I was, my mind went to ScostyCon, and I was trying my best to look at my report and get things going, and next thing you know, I'm listening to Travis about ScostyCon. What a great idea. It's amazing. Some of the things we're doing now is just, you would think is impossible when we was younger, and just to see that, I mean, we're having common books, art. Some of them are going to be switching into our language, and it's amazing stuff. So glad to be here today. I'm enjoying the weather and being able to exercise outside without sweating down is a joy. And so I'm in good spirits, and I'm glad to be around the council members before we got started. You guys is laughing and joking and doing all the things that you do, and so it reminds me that this is the Cherokee Nation. So thanks for your good spirit today. So I wanted to report on with June and August what the language department has been involved in. Of course, with these reports, you just at the very best you skim the surface. So we've had over 15,000 translations internally, over 2,000 translations externally. We've worked with our Institute of Excellence that's went to the Oklahoma Historical Society and has looked at a lot of our historical documents. We have 2 or 3 different programs that's constantly going and finding any of our old documents that's written in Cherokee, recovering some of them older words, documenting them, finding the pitches and that sort of thing. Some of them words aren't utilized right now, but we know that they will be again in the future. So we're making plans to bring some of them back in the common vernacular as the years go on. So they're involved in that. We've also had the the ability to record a lot of distinguished speakers. This particular program looks for the highest of the highest when it comes to language abilities. And so they put younger first language speakers with, you may say, more seasoned speakers that speak the highest form of Cherokee we still have. And so they have recorded over 400 hours of dialogue between advanced speakers and distinguished speakers. So we're going to some of the historical documents, and we're cloning some of that, the documents to be able to utilize in session. Also jumping to the Teacher Bridge program. Them guys had helped 14 Gen Summer Youth Program. Our 14 Gen is a program that's primarily for kids that's graduated our immersion school. So if we've invested that much time and effort on kids since they was 3 years old or younger, when they go to high school, this program picks them up in the afternoons and then spends 400 hours in language with them during the summer. So 14 Gen came in and helped Teacher Bridge came in and helped with 14 Gen summer program, which they did an excellent job. They also had participants that was able to go to the Center of Advanced Research on Language Acquisition, which was a week-long workshop in Minneapolis. And so we're always trying to find out the new studies on second language acquisition. And as far as in our community language, we've had several different things that's happened. One thing with the Saving the Voices program is the program that we are trying to record every Cherokee speaker. During these 2 months, we recorded 87 first language Cherokee speakers, which is Mitch Holcomb is doing that and his team, and it's great. So they're doing a good job. Cherokee Language Department, there in the Speaker Bureau, hosted a total of 203 Cherokee speakers during the months of July and August. Ed Fields hosted an adult immersion class during August 21 and 20 through the 25th. It was nice to see some of our at-large students that have been taking some of Ed's classes roam the halls to kind of see some of the things that's happened. So they had been just seeing stuff online, and for them to be there is I forget that we have a lot of celebrities that work at Durbin, and so they're like, "That's John Ross. I've only heard him." It's like they was just the most, everybody to them is famous, and so it was nice to see that excitement with them. This particular program underneath the documentation project has took 502 images during this time of documents that was written in the syllabary, and we've worked to archive them documents. Cherokee Nation Language Department has awarded 12 different Cherokee citizens with the Cherokee Language Teacher Training Scholarship, which these are, Council Lady Teehee could probably, this talk is hours about this as well as I, but this is an important program that is teaching young Cherokees to be certified to teach in the schools with the expansion of the Cherokee language immersion schools. We've wanted to start gearing that up for the future, and those after they they end up graduating, they'll dove right into the Master Apprentice program for language. Speaking of Master Apprentice program, we had a nice graduation. We have a new cohort that's happened during this time, and it ended up being a really, really, it's always good to see these guys graduate and start working in the language. And so it's, I had to remind them, these 2 years was about you. Now it's not about you anymore. You know, this is about these babies and these different things, and so it's they get the reality check, but it's good. It's always good to see growth. Language technology held several virtual meetings with Google Translate. We've provided Cherokee language materials, books, posters, CS, USB drives to 10 different local schools during this time. We've done a lot of walkthroughs of schools to see if we can help them, kind of look at places for signage and stuff to start changing the Cherokee. The translation staff, Sammy Steele and Anna Sixkiller, is helping coach Cherokee voice talent for different animation projects that will be released soon. Dennis Sixkiller continues to edit the audio books for the Cherokee New Testament that will be used in the Cherokee Book of Praise app. All of it's been recorded, but he's going through every single word to make sure it's spoken correctly. He's got up to the book of Hebrew now, and so he's doing an excellent job. And Roy Boney, he chairs the 5 Tribes Intertribal Council Language Committee, which was held on July 12th. He always does an excellent job, and they've getting ready for a language summit in the summer of 2024 is what I'm hearing them talk about, and so that's where all of us come in, the 5 tribes, and we come together and scratch our heads, and I can just see it's going to be good. We'll have experts from all over the world, we're looking forward to that for next year. Cherokee Language Department has been able to help with 29 different modular/mobile homes for Cherokee speakers. Now we have 5 mobiles in Kenwood, if you guys have drove by, for homeless, the speakers that are homeless. So that's turning out. So we've added some mobile units there. We have 38 different projects completed, 22, got 35 out for bid, and we're working on behavioral health a lot with substance abuse. Some of our younger Cherokee speakers has some substance abuse problems that we're working with them on, and so we've got to get them healthy enough so when it's time for them to stand up and lead, that they're there. I will say so far about 4 or 5 that we've been able to help get off substance abuse. Now, that's a lifelong fight, but it's always makes us feel good. Also, this last week, one of them wanted to be dropped off at to go inpatient, and when they come and they admit there's a problem and they know the sacred thing they hold and they're wanting to work on themselves, it's good, Counselor Legg, to see if that happened. You know some of the ones we're talking about. So I'll try to answer any questions you guys have. Forgive my long-windedness.
You always have a great report, Howard. Thank you. And I believe Counselor Teehee has a question.
I have a couple of questions, Howard, and a couple of these may require Chief of Staff Bunch to weigh in as well.
Okay.
I'm unsure. But so the first question that I have is in regard to the teacher scholarship recipients. I know that scholarship pays for tuition and fees, and it also has some additional components to it as well. Is testing a portion of that? Testing fees?
I believe it is, Counselor Teehee. I will find out and let you know.
Okay, all right. Well, I just know that those teacher tests can be fairly expensive, Whether we're talking about, you know, the OGET, which, and I think state accreditation has changed a bit to where I'm not sure if the OGET continues to be required, but I know the OSAT
So
is.
let me correct myself, because you used a larger mindset when I was evaluating my mind about
Okay.
testing. There has been some that they've came to me and I've made sure that we've paid for that, because you're right, it is significant. And so you don't want to spend 4 years with somebody that you're working to get certified for this purpose, and yet they can't afford to test. That
Right,
doesn't make any
right, right,
sense.
right.
And so in that case, absolutely, we've been
Okay.
helping with that.
And on that notion as well, I understand, because I was a part of the process, that the OSET has been revised. And I'm talking about the Oklahoma Subject Area Test for Cherokee, because we are the only indigenous language in the entire state that has a state certification process for educational testing.
Right.
So I know that the OSET has been revised. Do you know if the new test is currently in action, or if we're still using that older test?
I believe, Counselor, we are still using that older test. It's supposed to, I think, take in effect this fall, winter, sometime.
Okay,
And so
okay.
we're right on
Okay.
the crust of that new one coming in, and Will, you was involved in all
Yeah,
that, so.
yeah. Well, you know, we both know that the old test was calibrated to like a superior level.
Right.
Which we have speakers in our community, first language Cherokee speakers, who don't operate at the superior level.
Right.
And we're unable to pass that test.
Right.
Which is not the point of that state certification. So the recalibration is great. So, and this is where Mr. Bunch may need to weigh in. In regard to funding for the Cherokee Immersion School, is state funds received, or because I know it is a charter school? And because there was a question in a previous education meeting, I think from Counselor Callison, about whether or not it's like the $3,100 that's received from the state per child. Is that something that our immersion school, which is a charter school, receives? And the second question, so this is a two-parter, sorry.
Okay.
So is state funding received for our immersion charter school? And then second, is JOM funding received?
Well, good morning, council. I'll be glad to answer those questions. I went back and asked our education team about the question that Counselor Callison asked the previous meeting. And I recall, after I was told this, we met with the #1 federal programs guy at the State Department of Ed a couple of months before that, before you asked that question. We asked him that question specifically, would they be eligible for the special fund? And we were told no, that our school would not be eligible for that special fund. But we do receive state fundings for our charter school. So the answer to that is yes. We also receive federal funds through the State Department of Ed for our immersion school.
So would that be the Johnson O'Malley funding?
Yes,
or
it
is
would be any
okay.
funds that.
Any federal
Yep,
funding?
yep, yep.
Okay. Well, the reason I'm asking these questions is because I have been contacted by some parents with some concerns about funding for the school. And I have 3 kids who graduated from immersion. I have 3 kids who also, before they came to immersion, they attended public school. And I will tell you, when my kids went to immersion school, they were never treated better. Every single one of those kids is treated equally. Nobody pays for lunch. Nobody pays for school supplies. Our Cherokee Nation takes incredibly good care of our kids. They pay our teachers and they pay our assistants a fair wage, which I'm unsure of how it compares with the state. But I have heard that some teachers have come to Cherokee Nation because there is better pay and a better benefits package.
I would not question that. I do believe that we pay above and beyond a lot of the public schools. The public schools are required to pay at a minimum state scale, and a lot of them do. They just pay the minimum. We're fortunate here at Cherokee Nation, very blessed, very supported by this body. We're able to go above and beyond in many cases as far as teacher pay, but also support of our students. Very proud of our tribe and immersion leaders, language leaders, and education leaders. We really do go above and beyond for all of our students, whether they're at the CDCs, Head Start, immersion, Sequoia High School. We should be very proud of what we're able to do for our students and our staff.
Yeah, so I guess, and the other thing that I want to say, and this may also be directed a bit to Mr. Payton as well, is that the point of our immersion school is our language. Ogiwani histin,
Do you?
usketin.
Do you?
Our language is sacred, and what we're trying to do with our immersion school is save our language. And for parents who have lost sight of that the primary purpose of our immersion school is to save our language and to have our babies speak in Cherokee when that is not an opportunity that many of us had. We didn't have that opportunity, we didn't have that available to us, where we could walk into a building, be greeted in Cherokee, spend our whole day in Cherokee, and even ride home on the bus with the bus driver who speaks Cherokee. We didn't have that. So, you know, I really, really, really want people to understand that our immersion schools are not less than. Our immersion schools are added benefit. They are graduating with an education and Cherokee, whereas a lot of students who are going to English language only schools are graduating English only, and some of them are receiving inadequate and inferior educations. So,
Counselor, if emergent schools aren't built to be in a language enrichment,
right,
and we are moving to, that they're being built to build first language, a new generation of first language speakers. We started our baby immersion, able to sit in there and talk with them babies, and their first words are Cherokee. And if that's not what we're supposed to be doing, saving the language,
right.
and making an emergent school that's in Cherokee, then you guys have an entirely wrong person over it.
Right. So when I'm receiving anonymous complaints that our children are not receiving everything that they should be receiving, it really, having had children at the school, and now the school is even better than it was when my kids were there. I wish I could go back in time and have my children at the school that we have now, with new facilities that are not in trailers, with playgrounds that are designed for them, Cherokee signage, Cherokee teachers. So for a parent to complain anonymously that our kids are not getting what they need it really, really bothers me. So I wanted to reiterate that not only does Cherokee Nation receive federal funds for the immersion school, they receive state funds, but on top of that, Cherokee Nation goes above and beyond. And we use our own tribal dollars because we believe in what this language is. We believe in our language.
Gayu John, no, those the yuk done dokan. It none got no jalak woni histi, usked woni histi John it nasku. You already know the truth.
Yeah, yeah. So I wanted to say that on the record, so that way it is public commentary that we're doing good things with our language program, with our school, and we will be doing even more great things with the schools that we have planned.
That's correct.
All right, well, now, thank you for the time, Chair.
You're welcome. Counselor Sam?
Just kind of wanted to highlight the Cherokee Speaker Services. We know they're doing some great work. I know I've mentioned it a couple times about communication there. I know a lot of times they reach out to us and just trying to get a status update. Is there a specific number that they can call? I know many times I just reach out to Sammy and he normally gives me an update, but I know many times, you know, how our speakers and elders, they enjoy talking to folks on the phone too, but just having that knowledge of maybe every couple of weeks to give them a status update where they're at in that project. So just wanted to see how that communication may be going. I did notice within that chart we had
from the last report, you had 110 active projects, now we're at 38, so sounds like we're knocking them out pretty quick, so.
We're knocking them out, we're getting, you know, that, you've watched that program.
Yeah.
You guys are #1 fans on the side doing with pom-poms for us. And there's, you know, we made mistakes and we've been knocked over a time or two, and, man, at the end of the day, all of us know that we're doing right on that program. So we've had to, you know, hone in a few areas, buff up some policies, do some, you know, things a little bit more precise, which is fine, and is right. It's the growing pains with it. And with the communication, some of that is, they won't call somebody to talk Cherokee to them.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And so taking that time, and I watch Donnie Livers. He just seems like he's doing this all day, talking Cholak. So some of that's their physical needs being met, and some of that is their Cherokee needs being met. And it's still speaker services, and it's still right. So it takes a little bit more time maybe than maybe on the charts it needs to, but it's right, and it's Cholak. So
Oh, I
we're
appreciate it.
trying to do better. So.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And like I said, is there a specific number they could call? I know, didn't know if we had like a little hotline number they could call and reach out just to get a status update for whoever can answer that phone.
I'll give it to you just right after this meeting. So.
All right, appreciate it.
Right.
Thank you, Chair.
Counselor Shop-Pouch?
Contessa, thank you for what you said. I served on the immersion board for several years and had to give it up when I went to work for Turkey Nation. And that was, you know, we heard those things. And, you know, they do their best. The teachers, I feel like they do, you know, what they can do up there, but sometimes some people are just not appreciative of what they're, you know, producing. But I'm thankful, you know, that we do have I feel like we have a A1 school as far as immersion is concerned.
Right.
And also want to say thank you. We had our Turkey Speakers meeting in Jay Tuesday night. And it's just so good, you know, to see all those that come and want to converse in Cherokee and tell their stories. Tuesday night, we went through the seasons and the months, and, you know, and sometimes you forget those words, you know, if you don't hear it all the time, but somebody remembers, and we just help each other to remember those words. But when it got to the skilly stories, now that was a little different. So. But anyway, but I remember hearing those stories growing up. You know,
Yeah.
we'd be scared to stand outside in the dark after, you know, hearing them. But, you know, but it's so good, you know, that people out in the community are, you know, hungry to hear those words and want, you know, things to happen. And thanks for all you do for the program.
You know, there's mental health. You know, you're always going to have somebody complaining. There's certain people have different scenarios, but this demographic's so thankful, and I'm not going to get too, but you know, they'll find out where you live, and you'll open up the door, and they're right there, and they just want to tell you things. And guys, that's we're doing right, and with the school, we're doing right. We've got things we need to work on for sure, but our babies are speaking Cherokee. We are building speakers, and it's this. It's who we are. So it's an honor to work with you guys.
Counselor Poindexter?
Yeah, just kind of piggybacking on what everybody said. I really, appreciate the work y'all do, and everything towards the language is great. And I love how y'all are staying in contact with our elders. That's where my passion is right there too, is for our Cherokee speaking elders. I did have a question though. I was wondering if I could get maybe like a report, I guess, by county, how many speakers are being assisted in the speaker services. I'm just genuinely curious, like how many speakers from each maybe county are reaching out and needing services. So, because right now, like me and Josh Sam, we're that's probably our biggest one. We get
I'm quite aware, right?
You know, and it's like, you know, sometimes we're like, man, I guess we better call Howard or Sammy. So we're kind of
I know
trying
you
to figure out
guys'
how to
favorite-
organize it and help y'all out and everything.
Favorite
so.
candy bar at this point.
I know. But, and I know that would probably take some time to kind of go through and get, maybe things like how many you've assisted, callbacks, things like that, the details of.
So primarily, there's two speaker hotspots. You know, the whole Cherokee Nation used to just be a speaker hotspot, and as the pressures happen, it's got down to two speaker hotspots, and you guys are in the largest speaker hotspot, so it's all around you, right? That our nation has. So I've been looking at the northern hotspot versus the southern hotspot, and then there's quite a few speakers that has moved to Telequal, which is interesting here. The numbers are big, but the community is smaller as far as the connection. They can live 2 blocks away from one another and not know that, and still identify with Kenwood or still identify with Bell. And so they'll go back and even have churches and that sort of stuff back home because this demographic associates with where they grew up, you know, Tussadola. So I think the best way to explain how I've parsed it out is give you the two hot spots and what the difference is in the two. You know, the northern hotspot is smaller than the southern. So, but I can divvy that out with you.
Okay, yeah, I would love a kind of just a report, at least Adair County, if you can keep track of all those, and that would be great because just to kind of see who has what, because I know sometimes they'll jump from speaker services and maybe go to another department at human services I'm talking to them about with Jennifer, and I'm like, well, they got 2 applications of the same thing. And so that's part of kind of organizing that part.
So it's primarily south of Highway 100. I get confused sometimes the county lines there because they just, you know, one will be in one county and they're just across the street from one another, but it's that same hot spot. And it's hard to tell where Bell sometimes ends and Bellefonte and Nycut because there's different counties there. You guys see them moving back and forth there.
Right.
And so Marble City versus the Greasy area, Flute Springs, that sort of thing. Yeah, I think the best thing is to give you that southern hot spot and kind of.
Yeah, that would be great. I would love to see that, and just the details of how many we've assisted, callbacks, things like that, appliances, just little details.
The callbacks and that sort of stuff, guys, man, you're on.
I know.
My wife was joking with me. She's like, we went somewhere. She's like, does your phone stop? Is this what happened? So you can't, it's hard to record all the callbacks. Does that make sense?
I know, me and Josh are in the same boat. We do every day. So, but I appreciate it, and I really, you know, again, I commend y'all for your work, and you know, thank you for what you're doing for the communities. And I know we're still kind of going through some growing periods here, and so I'm just trying to do my best to help out where I can.
The language department has been doubling every 2 years for the last 10 years, and so believe it or not, I used to have hair, guys. So,
anyways,
all right. Thank you, Counselor.
Anyone else? Yes, Counselor Smith.
I know those 35 homes, little homes you were talking about a while ago, are those spread out or is that one?
It's spread out, Counselor. It's kind of depending on the need. Sometimes you come in there. So we're not taking the Taj Mahal out at the different locations, but what we are doing is if we can bring in a Mauser home for replacement, or if there's an emergency situation, we can pull in a mobile as I think Counselor Legg, he had some of them that come in his area. We had some that was living in some sheds, and no plumbing. Is this the kind of the pans that you see that you would have at the hospital, use restrooms in, that sort of thing. When we found them, it's an emergency situation. We made phone calls and had mobile units pulled out there immediately. So it's not trying to say, not necessarily, we're not looking at fancy. We're looking at making sure that speaker is warm, that speaker has running water, and that they feel like a human, so.
So is there like a speaker there and they don't have water, do they move up, or is it still they gotta go through the whole system, or is this a case-by-case thing?
If it comes to a Cherokee speaker, we're supposed to knock out any obstacle.
Okay,
So this is, it's the difference between, I'm not saying that the California, what'd you say, Counselor, here today? The California corridor, that bird that you mentioned versus a robin. Condor, I said corridor. I'm sorry, that's for roads, guys. But not saying the robin is less special than the other, but if you have 25 of one and 3 million of the other, you're going to make sure that them 25 survive, right? And so that's what we're looking at it with that context, as saying, okay, this is something that is dwindling. This is something that we can lose almost like a species, because it goes from heart to heart. And so we need this population to live as long as they possibly can, so they can share their heart with the young hearts that we're growing now. So that's what we're trying to do. So we knock out the obstacles. Chief has put policies in place to make sure that happens, and that's where we go. But if you have any questions, Counselor, you know my cell, so you can call me.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments or questions? Thank you very much, Howard. Appreciate you.
It's always an honor, guys. Well, don't EJ, you lead, you see.
Okay, next in reports, community and cultural outreach, and we do have I believe we have Savannah Smith here today, who's the interim director. Welcome.
Thank you all for allowing me to be here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Savannah Smith. I am, as she mentioned, the new interim CCO or director, and I've been at the tribe for 8 years now. So I'm excited to be here. I have a couple announcements. This past week, we had our CAUTA grant kickoff. And I believe we had the biggest turnout that we've ever had before. We had around 175 to 180 that showed up. So that's exciting for this next year. I see our program, it just continues to grow every year. So we were happy about that. I also wanted to mention that something that we've started at CCO is a calendar of events for, we'll be reaching out to our organizations to see what they have going on for the next month. A lot of them are doing some good things, and we want to be able to be at those events for them and support them, because they are the reason that we come in and do our jobs every day. We'll typically send those out probably at the end of the month, so I can send those to Gail to distribute out to you guys as well, so you can be aware of what's going on in the community. I believe you guys have my reports, so at this time, I will take any questions that you have.
Any questions? Yes, Counselor Poindexter.
I haven't met you yet. I'm Cody. And
Cody.
I primarily work or talk to Kevin a lot. I bug the crap out of him. But I just wanted to tell you guys I really appreciate your organizational skills. Kevin is great with getting back with me real fast and then calling that person that needs help, and all the organizations in between and the community buildings, and y'all definitely have a lot on your plate, and I really appreciate the work that you guys do in our community, so.
I appreciate that.
Yes, Counselor Kidwell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Savannah, thank you for being here today, and just a couple of things. Number one, congratulations on the interim selection there. I mean, I know that you'll do great. I mean, I enjoy working with you at all the at-large events. You're always spot on, extremely helpful, hear nothing but great things. And I understand from our conversations earlier, just please, when you get a chance, pass to Noel Grayson our desires, and for him to get better. Let him know that we're praying for him. He is such an amazing guy to have out there at these events, and he spends so much time with the kids. And we just want him to get better, and please let him know that the council's praying for him.
Will do.
Sure.
Yes,
I'm sorry, I had another question. The Cherokee Cemeteries Association, that falls under you guys, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And if I see or somebody reaches out with a cemetery, like an old historic one that needs to be restored, do I contact?
Yes, Mary Stevenson.
Okay,
She's over our cemetery apps.
okay. And a lot of these cemeteries, they're not like ones that people go out and decorate and upkeep all the time. They're really old, historic Cherokee ones that I see at Bell. And I don't know if you guys deal with the restoration of those or upkeep of them.
I don't want to misspeak on that,
Right.
so I can look into it and get
Yeah,
back to you.
that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
anyone else? All right, thank you for your report, Savannah, thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Look forward to working with you. Last but certainly not least, the Cherokee National Treasurers Advisory Committee, Betty Frog, is going to give a report about what's going on with our national treasures. Welcome, Betty.
Wadona God. Seal. I just want to say wado to Counselor Shotpouch and Counselor Teehee for the kind words they spoke about our immersion school. It's not easy to teach the language. It's hard. But I enjoy doing that. I have been with the immersion school for 10 years or less, and I've seen a lot of our kids go through, and they've done great in high school. In fact, they've done hit the honor rolls, speaking 2 languages. So, we're done. Back to the report here. As Travis mentioned, Dan Meek's exhibit will be going off in October, and Noel Grayson's exhibit will be starting on the 10th. And as part of their exhibit, they are allowed to teach. They have a teaching opportunity or demonstration. They can hold that at the Saline Courthouse. And we also have 2 national treasures, Diana Smith Cox, and I'm going to see if I can say this without being tongue-tied, turtle shell shackle making. Kind of hard on a speaker here. Stephen Darty, traditional weapons, and I think we've added some great people here. They both work good with kids, and that's one of our goals is working with the kids. The National Treasure Student Art Show was held on Saturday, September 2nd from 9 to 3 in conjunction with the Cherokee National Holiday. We had 6 treasure mentors and a total of 63 students, and their art and everything that was completed was on display at the courthouse. And the National Treasures can begin signing up to be a mentor beginning in October. The exhibit, Jane Austen, A Legacy on Her Own, is going on at Veneta at the Anna Mitchell Cultural and Welcome Center through October 29th. The exhibit looks at her life, work, and artist who guided Osti through her expression of indigenous southeastern forms in clay. Anna Mitchell. Through her relationship with the Cherokee pottery revivalist, Jane found inspiration to create stunning works of art. More than 24 pieces will be on display, including works available for purchase. The Cherokee National Treasures Advisory Committee meets each month on the third Thursday at 4:30 p.m. at the Cherokee National Research Center. Wadonga God. Any
Anybody have any
questions?
questions for Betty? All right, thank you for your report. I'll
Well-
see you later. Okay, old business, none pending. New business, none pending. Does anyone have any announcements?
At the Bellefonte Community Building, Abraham Bearpaw has put together, between him and another lady that's a therapist, a cultural-based, evidence-based cognitive behavioral therapy treatment program, and we have about 30 fluent speakers every Thursday night in the community of Bellefonte showing up and attending at their own free will. And it's moving.
Thank you, Daryl. Counselor Teehee?
Yeah, I have an announcement. There will be a Cherokee Speakers Meeting happening on October 10th. And I may need to ask for Mr. Payton's help on the time, but it will be happening at the Durbin Feeling Language Center. There's going to be food, fun, fellowship, I think door prizes, and if you could help us with the times on that.
Absolutely. We're looking at 10 o'clock. We're going to have some good announcements, that sort of thing, a lot of giveaways. We're working, planning for 1,000 speakers to be there. And so,
Fantastic.
that'd be right at 59% of the speaker population. if we-
Okay, and that's going to be October 10th, which I think is a Tuesday.
Yeah,
And it starts at what time?
10 o'clock
10 o'clock until,
until we.
Until it's
end.
over.
And so, we have the main meeting where everybody's involved, and then we, of course, we're feeding some good food. And then after that, they go into a speaker meeting, speaker giveaway. We have our brothers and sisters from the Eastern Band coming, different ones, and so especially if you're a Cherokee speaker, of course, the council, our leadership, it's probably be the biggest speaker event. Well, I believe it'd be the biggest speaker event in the history of Cherokee Nation, so I would really enjoy members of this body being there as well.
and the name of it, oh gosh.
God, you all will kill hitting off.
I know, I did too. It's like kindling a fire, though.
Yeah, it's rebuilding the fire. The significance is what we're doing with language. This is the time of year.
Tony.
Culturally, we would rebuild, put the new fires in their homes, rebuild the fire. And so we're taking the old Cherokee calendar and the things we used to do, and we're applying it to what we're doing. And traditionally, this is what we would call it. And so
Wow.
it's a good time.
Well, no, so that was my joint announcement.
That's great. I hope that some of us, or most of us, can attend part of that or all of it. Sounds like a great event. Any other announcements from you all? If not, I have just one, that our next meeting is scheduled tentatively for Monday, November 6th at 10 a.m. I need a motion to adjourn. All in favor? We're adjourned. Sorry, Cody.